So, thank you very much indeed, Robbie. Hand you over now to John Smith of Post, managing over 200 properties, 2 million square feet, and I was most interested to read that they benchmarked themselves against DHL, TNT and Royal Mail.
Yep.
Yeah. Over to you, John.
Hello. Sorry everybody, yeah, my name is John Smith. I'm the facility manager for Post. So that gives me responsibility for all in our built environment. So I'm responsible for everything that happens within the buildings. Just to give us a few juicy facts, or just a quick glance, we have about 9,000 to 10,000 staff, depending on whether you're counting FTEs or actual staff members. We process more than 2.5 million items of mail per day, so that's your post, your cards, your letters, we would call flats, which is your A4 size of piece of paper. And as well as that, we have a full financial backing of 1,200 post offices around the country, of which we have which number of post offices are employed by direct labour by ourselves. So just to give you a breakdown, we have the GPO, which I think most people are familiar with. That's our headquarter building. We have 4 mail centres, which are our processing plants for mail around the country in Dublin, Cork, Athlone and Portlaoise. We have 122 mail sorting offices, which we call them DSUs, you might call them sorting offices. We have 58 branch offices, which are retail, and we have about 4 admin buildings. For those of you who can add, that doesn't add to 200. Some of them are combined operations, so there would be an element of 2 sets of businesses or 3 sets of businesses in some cases in some of those buildings. So where do we start from? We started this process in about 2008, initially out of a peer management or a peer review among our other postal operatives. But for us, we were a little bit of a, it's difficult to say where we came from, because it's difficult to describe how poor we were at the beginning. We had unconsolidated utility bills, so us in the centre had no idea or clue what was being used within the business, other than we were spending a lot of money on it. Each post office or each building was getting its utility bills sent to it directly, and with no visibility on the centre other than the cost was being incurred. We had only maintenance contracts in place for about 40% of our properties. The other 60% were being managed locally. So it was quite a poor base to start. And when we did our peer assessment, we became part of the IPC, which is an international postal commission group. And we were 22 out of 23, so we were right at the bottom of this league table. So this peer group among postal operatives would incorporate the likes of DHL, TNT, Royal Mail, UPS, so it's quite substantial, the top end of the countries that you would expect to see doing well out of this. And we scored a possible 56 out of 100. So we're quite poor. So what do we decide to do? Well, we were set up as a strategic group, but what the first thing we had to do was we had to kind of create a space for sustainability. So we decided as a group was we were going to measure our utility bills, and by measuring our utility bills we were able to consolidate the contracts into single contracts with our utility suppliers. Obviously this saved us some money, which created a bit of goodwill among our chief executive, who loves to see us that we've saved some money. Everybody here has talked about the 2009-10 up to date has been a difficult time for businesses. Well, our business has only just broken back into operating profit this year. So for a number of years we've been losing money hand over fist. So this is very important to us that that we would be seen to create space for investment and make money for Post. And it also provided us, the reason we were looking at it, we needed a structure, so we weren't searching for what type of structure would be put in place so we could grow our energy initiatives and our energy savings. So part of that growth was we decided that we needed to create a strategic body around it, reporting directly into the chief executive. And the structure, we'd been working for between 2008 and 2011, and basically we'd been tipping along, not making any incremental saving in energy, but not actually costing more energy. And we were working very hard on just keeping the line flat. So we said what we were missing was the structure around how we were going to approach this. So we set up a team which incorporated ourselves, which is property, transport, communications and strategic project. And the reason we brought such a kind of an outliner like communications into it, with 9,000 staff or 10,000 staff, we had to talk to them and we had to get feedback from them. So we felt that staff was going to be one of the most important contributors into delivering savings in this area. It's difficult in An Post because 75% of our staff don't have access to IT. So other than sending them a postcard or a letter, it's very difficult to get to communicate to them. So we had to create a structure around that communications piece. And at the same time, we needed and we received chief executive support. Some of your speakers spoke about earlier on, we had to do a full financial analysis and breakdown at each step we went through this to prove that we were going to deliver savings. And then we had to feed back into that group or that project group and board to say that we had delivered those savings. We looked at the previous generation. We were looking at ISO 16,000 and 14,000. And we felt that 16,000, which became subsequently 5,001, gave us a harder target. It was more, we felt it was less woolly than the 14,000, and it gave us a much more stringent and hard-facing target. And at the same time, the government introduced this 33% energy reduction for public sector. So we felt that we needed a good structure and a stable structure to be able to achieve these savings within. So we developed a strategy for An Post sustainability programs. So that was another part. How do we develop a strategy for our programs? We can't just be running around doing a lot of hard work and no strategic. So we put a strategy in place, and we developed a plant maintenance PPM program for all our offices. And then we developed energy saving projects. So we would end up with a toolbox of solutions when we went and visited any office. So we went to our sorting office or a mail centre. We would have, when we come in to audit them, we're able to put immediate plans and projects into place. This is an ongoing process, but at that stage we just had to go out and develop a programme or help. The PPM programme took us about 2 years from start to finish to put in place. Nothing happens very quickly in the public sector, so it's very important that the structure, that you think your plan and project through, because it comes very hard to change yourself out of it once you've started issuing tenders and programmes around that. So you have to do a lot of thought, and a lot of thought process has to go into it. So the ISO and the ISO 50,000, with the help of SEAI and our support services, really helped us, enabled us to do this. We consolidated our utilities bills and contracts. That was important because it allowed us to go out and measure it. Previous to consolidation, we would have to get each bill and work our way and put it onto a spreadsheet, identify the energy usage. So by consolidating it, we got our suppliers then to support us and provide our bills in both a kilowatt hour format and obviously a financial format. So it allowed us then concentrate on other activities. Obviously resources are tight in any organisation, so our team will be relatively small. There's about 3 people involved in energy management, and you can't have one of us just working on just making sure the utility bills are correct. So we also had to create a staff awareness programme. That was quite difficult. Our staff are very much concentrating on getting the mail out to you, the customer, and anything that blocks that process can be seen as a hindrance to us. So we had to get them to buy into this energy saving programme about CO2, saving the earth, the planet, all the nice and soft things. But we also had to do the stick as well. It's now part of everybody's KPI in terms of building owner and manager. So everybody who has on a performance-based contracts, we all have an energy reduction target. So we've tried to do both systems. We monthly measure our KPIs as well, which is very important. You have to do a measure and you have to publish that measure. So part of our monthly measurement of KPIs is that it goes out to the senior management team. In terms of waste, which people have spoken around here, we have a target of in excess of 90% waste. And for energy performance, it's a 3% year-on-year reduction, of which we're running about 3.7. It would have been 7.7 last month, but the cold April has knocked us back a bit. And then finally, we had to get training and support. So we would have put a full training programme behind this, introducing people to energy reduction at induction, running out a training program to our senior management team, training the office managers, as in the managers in the DSMs, which will be our sorting office managers and our retail managers. So we try to create a whole encompassing program for the whole company in achieving this ISO. So the good news, and the reason I'm talking to you today, is we went and developed a plan. So let's say the good news is we got the incremental improvement that everybody's talking about. We went and we've got, from 2008, we've got 100% of our properties. Our properties are now managed by property. They're managed from the centre, and they have a full maintenance program in them. The second thing is, we established a baseline for energy in 2009. We identified the key energy users, and we identified that light and heat use approximately 80% of all energy within An Post properties. And we developed a toolbox of energy projects. Now, light and heat, some people talked about IT, and we found IT wasn't a significant contributor. One of the things we did was we turned off all the power in the GPO, all the non-essential power, and went around and switched everybody's computer off. And we found actually it was the cleaners at night that were coming in and switching on all the lights, turning on the heat, were the key users of energy out of hours. So we've had to implement, or in the process of implementing, a program that will ensure that all that light is done on a PIR, so the cleaners won't have such an adverse impact on our energy usage. So we achieved ISO in 2013, and we found that the structure that it provides is vital. We do an annual energy review, and that's done with the chief executive in the organisation. So he asks who's supporting and who isn't supporting us. So it's very important. It allows us then have strength when we go out to speak to people that he's personally interested in this. We've trained and motivated our staff. I spoke through the carrot and the stick. We have a good communications plan in place so that everybody's aware of what we're doing, both on notice boards. We've mailed people, and we go out and individually talk to people in terms of toolbox talks. We've planned a PPM program in place that everybody is now aware of and gets notified what we're doing. And we have site audits among our significant energy users. And incidentally, we've created a self-funding product through energy saving credits. We've signed up with Improva, and we've found vending, which was one of the interesting ones. We found that a lot of our offices had vending machines whose profits were going to, well, we weren't coming to us in An Post. So we were able to harvest those profits, and ergo we've created a self-funding project in terms of salary for our energy officer. So to give just a feel for the type of projects that we've done, we've replaced all our sun lighting with patina throughout the portfolio. So that's it. We have a PIR, motion detection and light detection put on our lighting in our offices. We've replaced the BMS and the GPO. We've created bespoke projects for our major energy users in the mail centres, which will similarly PIR all lighting. We've replaced, or in the process of replacing, all the car park lighting with LEDs. And we're creating energy plans for all the major sites. So incremental improvement means you can't just sit back in your laurels and say thank you everybody and we've done it. So in an ISO, or the strength of this ISO is that it forces you to start thinking of each year you've got to come back to it with a new set of projects. So we've created bespoke projects. So we're looking at monitoring. As Robbie said earlier on, we have to measure what we're using. And we're looking at then creating actual half-hour metered monitors to put in place. We've put timers on all our energy users, a web-based timer, and we've put temperature hold off. So what we have created is the conversation piece. So if we ring our branch manager up and he says, I'm not using any energy, we can say, well, you F an hour, like, you mean, you can see it. Like, I'm watching it there going, half an hour you've got something on you shouldn't have on. And we have future projects in development, which is to roll these further, these type of timers and web-based monitoring, which we're using with Resourcecraft and Climote out to the rest of our properties. So what we've achieved, so we always believe in celebrating our successes. So we've moved from being 22nd to 8th. We're now at a 79%, which gives us a silver ranking. We're working on going to that gold ranking, which is in excess of 90%, and we believe we will be there in about 2 years. We're the first postal operative in the world, we believe, to get 50,001. Our 50,001 is being rolled out to our subsidiaries, of which we have 10 or 11 of them. We were nominated for the Green Awards based on what we were doing over the last number of years, but this year we finally won one. And we've reduced our energy by 9% in 14, and it was 7% when I sent this in, but unfortunately we got the numbers for April, which pushed us back a bit. So we spoke about our Chief Executive. Well, this is me getting the Green Award, but the interesting point here is that the Chief Executive took the trophy and put it in his cabinet. So we've received great buy-in and support from him, but unfortunately we weren't allowed to keep the trophy. But it does show how important it is and how important it is to get senior management backing. And he felt intimately involved with the project, so much so that he felt that was his award, not ours. So for continuous improvement, so where is UNPUS going to do? Well, we, like everybody else, we have to, Mr. ISO, we have to go for recertification in 3 years. We're looking at 14,001 now for the environmental. We've implemented a utility monitoring project where I spoke about the real-time monitoring, and we have to create bespoke projects for retail offices. So what we're saying to our retail offices, we need to look at how you're using your lighting and heating. They wouldn't be one of our significant energy users, but we're going to try and create a project that works for retail in terms of marketing, lighting, background lighting, and then obviously what we would look to do is to roll that out among our contractor portfolio of the 1,200 offices. And the big one is to achieve the government target of 33%. So just like to say, finishing up, just to say thank you very much for listening to me. I've left my email address on the presentation. If anybody wants to contact me afterwards, there's no problem. Thank you.